Hi YouTube, I'm going to introduce you to a new fossil location, and this is BREAN in Somerset. I was lucky enough to visit this area with a group of friends. We stayed there and had a beach holiday, and I regularly visited the bottom of the cliffs looking at the rocks. So these photos that you're seeing now are rocks that were in situ at the bottom of the cliff. Some of the ones that were small enough I was able to collect and take home with me. Some of them were in massive boulders, and I was only able to kind of get some photographs. But these rocks are lower Carboniferous limestone, so they're 350 million years old. If you think about the other fossil locations that I've done videos on, like Bracklesham Bay and Barton-on-Sea, those are both Eocene, so they're only about 50 million years old. So these guys are a lot older than that. And what you're seeing in the fossils here are quite kind of simple life forms, really. So things like corals and cryonoids, that kind of thing. If you think about the fossils that I was finding at Barton-on-Sea, where they're things like shark's teeth, and you've got, bivalves and all kinds of different shells and things. Um, they're much more sort of complex life forms. This was quite an unusual fossil location for me because I'm used to finding fossils that are a solid three-dimensional object, whether it be like shells or dinosaur bones or shark's teeth or whatever. They're always like a three-dimensional kind of form, or like echinoids, that kind of thing. Um, Whereas the fossils found from this location, they're better viewed in cross section. So like if you slice the rock, and then you can have a look at the fossils in more detail afterwards. Okay, I'll show you what the whole group of rocks look like that I found. So these are them dry just on my table, and then this is what they look like when they're sprayed with water. You can see the fossils show up a lot more. Okay, here are some close-ups of the group of fossils. You can see there are quite a lot of them, and obviously if I wanted to keep them all like this, they would take up an awful lot of space. So my idea was to slice them all down and get all the best sections of all of them, so that I could keep them in a drawer, or actually turned out to be a couple of drawers, but better that than have this many. It's quite a lot. Okay, I'll show you what they look like in drawers. So this is the first drawer. And then this is the second drawer, just to give you an idea of what I ended up with out of that lot. Okay, this first lot of fossils are a type of coral called Syringipora. So if you imagine a kind of a fanning coral where it's all made up of kind of tubes. So either you see, if you're looking at it in cross section, you either see tubes as like lines, or you see them as circles if the tubes are being cut off and you're just viewing the ends of each tube. So yeah, a lot of these I didn't need to slice, they're just stones and you can see enough detail in them. The ones that I did slice are this sort of thing here, and under the microscope you can see the holes a lot more clearly. Okay, coming up, there's another species of coral which always appears red due to the iron content in the rock. Um, Really nice looking specimens these, and especially if you look at them under the microscope. So what I've done is I've taken some photos down the microscope. They're just coming up, so like this one and the next one, and it just makes it look really nice. You can see all the little rings and things formed by the tubes of the coral. Right, what you're seeing now is the stem of a cryonoid. So cryonoids were sort of, well, they're also called sea lilies. They were like a sort of, they looked a bit like a plant. So if you have a look, a lot of these are stem sections that you're seeing. Sometimes they have this kind of zigzag pattern on, and they look almost like jaws, like what you're seeing here. But these are just sections through the stem, basically. You do get the circular kind of markings as well again, from the sort of cut off end sections of each stem. But I'll just show you all of these longer sections first. Again, with the sort of what look like teeth. Um, yeah, you could very easily think that you've got a little set of jaws or something. Right, here's some end sections. So you're just seeing like different circles, but some of them have got like little pentagons inside them. Um, so yeah, they all have kind of different shapes to the inside. This one's got like a little square inside the circle. and yeah, various other types here with different shapes in the middle. And here's some under the microscope. Sometimes crinoids are so numerous in a piece of rock that the whole rock is actually called Chronoidal Limestone. And I have some examples of that, so look out for those later on. Okay, this is a rugose coral called the Solitary Zafarantoid. It's actually called Cyphenophilia. And it's kind of like if you imagine like a sort of tube with kind of quite a lot of kind of thinner, kind of tentacly type bits on it. And again, you're seeing cross sections of various parts of the animal. And I did see some whole ones in situ on the beach, but they're in big boulders that I wasn't able to take home with me. They were probably about sort of 20 centimeters long. I'm not sure entirely how big these creatures can get, but they look quite nice when you see a whole one. Okay, and obviously with a name like Syphenophilia, the siphon bit means that they were filter feeders. So if you imagine like a big tube that is like constantly kind of sucking in smaller creatures, then that's what this animal is like. Here's some more of those sort of frilly edges I was talking about. And this is the animal viewed from the side, again in cross section. And here's an almost complete animal. Often you just find pebbles like this, which have hardly got any bits of the animal on at all. Okay, when I first found these fossils, I thought they were completely separate, different animal to what you've just seen, but they're not. They're exactly the same creature. You're just viewing the end of it. So quite often it'll just be like a sort of a ring with a hole in the middle. And again, this is like the animal itself is just like a tube that sucked in little creatures and ate them. So lots of these circles, yeah, you could easily be mistaken and think that they're a completely different animal. And it's just amazing to think of the age of these animals. Remember, these are 350 million years old. So like ichthyosaurs from Lyme Regis, like the earliest examples of ichthyosaurs are 250 million years old. So this is an extra 100 million years even before that. Okay, these smaller circular cross sections are from another creature called Diphyphilum. Again, it's a coral, and you're just seeing individual sections from the whole colony. Okay, I'm going to leave you viewing images of other rocks and things that I found at the same time, some of which I've sliced and some of which I haven't. But I just wanted to talk to you a little bit about the slicing process. So I've got a rock slicer which I was given by one of my students, which is brilliant, and she also gave me like a polishing wheel as well. I didn't actually use the polishing wheel with any of these. I just cut the stones with the slicer, and then I've just basically straight after that I just put a layer of PVA glue on them, and the PVA glue just makes them a bit shinier and makes the fossils show up a little bit more. But I actually used a type of PVA glue that I can re-wet if I need to, and I can take the layer of glue off, because I think probably in the future I want to polish these a little bit more finely, because obviously the smoother you can get them, the more the detail shows up. So I had so many to do at the time that it took me quite a lot of effort to cut them all up on the slicer, and I just I sort of got a bit fed up at the end, so I kind of just left them. But they're in drawers, and I know I can go back to them in the future and I can polish them more finely and get all the details to show up. But if you're somebody who is thinking about going to BREAN to look for fossils, I would thoroughly recommend it because the fossils are so numerous. Like you can't not find fossils when you're there. They're all over the place, and it's more a case of trying to select the ones that you want to actually take home. That you're going to be able to carry. There's so many of them. Like I had to leave obviously the biggest boulders, but the rocks that I did take, can you imagine? I mean, luckily I was in a beach house, so I was able to go backwards and forwards with fossils, and then load my car up with them at the end. This thing that you're seeing on the screen at the moment, by the way, it looks a bit like a trilobite or something, doesn't it, when you first look at it? But it's not. It's like it's like a tube that runs through, and you're just seeing just a little bit of the tube at the end, but you can see these very clear ridges on it. So it just shows that you've got to sort of interpret fossils quite carefully to understand the animal that you're actually looking at. Okay, if you've enjoyed this video, please check out my other videos from other locations around the UK, and also just my general fossil collections. I've got a big cabinet full of fossils from all around the world, so check that out and hit subscribe to see anything that I post in the future. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video.